Shibetsu Town in Hokkaido was home to indigenous Ainu people long before the land began to be developed. They sustained themselves by hunting, gathering, and trading. The Ainu believe that deities reside in everything in nature. Without a written language, their culture was passed down orally for generations. But how exactly the Ainu culture came to be has largely been a mystery. The origins of the Ainu are coming to light through cutting-edge scientific research showing they inherited DNA from the people of the Okhotsk culture who migrated from north of Hokkaido. How did the DNA of this ancient northern people transmit to the Ainu? Shibetsu Town has traces of various cultures dating back over 10,000 years, including remnants from the Jomon, Satsumon, Okhotsk, and Tobini-Tai cultures. Studying the remnants left by previous people in this area reveals the 10,000-year history that led to the Ainu culture. Shibetsu Sites Tracing the origins of the Ainu culture along the Nemuro Strait. Located in eastern Hokkaido, between the Shiretoko and Notsuke peninsulas, Shibetsu Town looks out across the Nemuro Strait to Kunashiri Island. The name Shibetsu is said to derive from the Ainu words shippe, meaning an important river, or shippe-o, meaning a river with salmon. Shibetsu is still known as a town of salmon with large annual catches. Many rivers originating in the mountains that extend westward from the Shiretoko Peninsula empty into the Nemuro Strait. These rivers are also home to salmon, called the divine fish in Ainu. Over the past 100,000 years, eastern Hokkaido has undergone great topographic changes. These have occurred due to fluctuations in sea levels caused by climate change and the reshaping of the land by volcanic eruptions. Climate cooling 100,000 years ago caused sea levels to drop, forming a land bridge to Kunashiri Island. 20,000 years ago, mammoths crossed over from the continent. When the last glacial period ended 10,000 years ago, sea levels began to rise, resulting in the reappearance of the Nemuro Strait. Traces of human habitation have been found in Shibetsu from this period. Land re-emerged due to the accumulation of sand by strong coastal currents and deposits of volcanic ash from a volcanic eruption 6,500 years ago that led to the formation of what is now Lake Mashu. Shibetsu underwent only a brief period of submersion under the sea. The Shibetsu Mire began forming about 4,000 years ago. In this way, topography that incorporates the sea, rivers, forests, and a wetland has evolved over an extended period, supporting human life for over 10,000 years. Forests within the basins of the Ichani, Po, and Shibetsu rivers are home to 3 archaeological sites collectively known as the Shibetsu Sites: the Ichani Karikariusu Site, the Furudo Site, and the Sanbongi Site. The Ichani Karikariusu Site once had about 2,500 pit dwellings, with their remains now visible as ground depressions. These are vestiges of continuous human habitation from the prehistoric Jomon period to recent times. Sustained by a bountiful natural environment, human life in this area has continued uninterrupted for over 10,000 years. Designated collectively as a historic site, the Shibetsu sites are preserved as important archaeological locations. A distinctive feature of the Shibetsu sites is their exceptionally high concentration of pit dwellings. With the Ichani Karikariusu site included, the The sites collectively boast the remains of more than 4,400 such dwellings. The earliest traces at the Shibetsu sites date back to the initial Jomon period. Remnants of numerous pit dwellings from subsequent periods are also well preserved. The pit dwellings in Shibetsu are much more numerous than those in nearby regions. It's exceptionally unusual on a global scale to discover such an extensive collection of pit-dwelling remains that haven't been entirely buried underground. The Shibetsu sites serve as valuable cultural heritages, demonstrating that human activities in Shibetsu have continued for over 10,000 years while undergoing various changes over time. Shibetsu boasts rich, natural surroundings. Abundant forest that fostered diverse wildlife and vegetation drew the area's initial settlers. Yet several other factors have likely facilitated the continuous human habitation in Shibetsu for as long as 10,000 years. Places with numerous pit dwellings share a common feature. They are situated in areas where pure water springs forth. Even now, the Ichani Karikariusu site boasts as many as 80 springs. The existence of these abundant springs, which remain unfrozen even in winter, has been one reason why people have been able to inhabit this area for over 10,000 years. The spring water has attracted large numbers of fish, predominantly salmon, to this area. The name Ichani is derived from an Ainu word meaning a spawning ground of salmon. Since ancient times, this location has been known for its plentiful salmon catches. The Ichani Karikariusu site has yielded a significant number of salmon bones. The amount notably exceeds those of other sites in Hokkaido. Salmon, caught annually and rich in nutrients, can be dried for preservation. Their consistent annual return to the rivers likely made them a vital food source, sustaining people throughout the ages. Another blessing of this location is its rivers. These waterways, passable by boat or on foot, also served as pathways for inland travel. The many rivers flowing in Shibetsu, along with maritime routes, facilitated vigorous trade. Artifacts such as comma-shaped beads unearthed from Jomon period sites, which are believed to have been made in other regions, indicate the thriving interactions and trade of that era. Sustained by this trio of blessings, spring water, salmon, and rivers, Shibetsu evolved into a hub of life, attracting people, goods, and information. What was life like during the Jomon period? With salmon as a stable food source, people were able to concentrate on hunting for trade purposes and were able to acquire various trade items, such as pelts. They actively engaged in trade, transporting those pelts and other goods along convenient sea and river routes, which appears to have enabled them to lead affluent lives. This lifestyle continued for thousands of years. After the Jomon period, Hokkaido embarked on a historical path distinct from that of Honshu, Japan's main island. While people in Honshu focused on agriculture, those in Hokkaido maintained hunting and gathering as their primary way of life. In Hokkaido, historical periods are categorized differently. The era corresponding to Honshu's Yayoi and Kofun periods is termed as the Epi-Jomon culture period. The Asuka, Nara, and Heian periods on Honshu align with the Satsumon culture period. The era from the Kamakura to the Edo periods is referred to as the Proto-Ainu culture era. 1,000 years ago, the Satsumon culture, which inherited the legacy of the Epi-Jomon culture, was flourishing throughout Hokkaido. At the same time, other unique cultures emerged, predominantly along the coastal areas of the Sea of Okhotsk in Hokkaido. These are the Okhotsk and Tobinitai cultures. Who were the Okhotsk people? They primarily resided on what is now Sakhalin, along the Sea of Okhotsk coast in Hokkaido, and in the Kuril Islands. Skilled in navigating the vast ocean in boats, they hunted in groups for stellar sea lions, seals, and other marine mammals, as well as for fish. They inhabited large dwellings designed to accommodate several families together. They primarily engaged in interactions and trade with people on the continent, exchanging pelts acquired through hunting for iron tools and ornaments crafted from copper and other materials. It is also known that they revered brown bears, killer whales, and other animals of the natural world as deities. From an archaeological site of the Okhotsk culture, a wooden vessel carved to resemble a brown bear's head has been unearthed. This vessel, designed to contain liquids, looks like a brown bear when placed face down. When turned over, however, it becomes a killer whale, complete with a dorsal fin that rises above the water. Brown bears and killer whales were also revered as deities in the Ainu culture that subsequently emerged. This indicates that the Okhotsk people, like the Ainu, viewed them as extraordinary beings. The people of the Okhotsk culture, who were originally from Sakhalin in the north, migrated as far south as Hokkaido, spurred by changes in climate and political conditions. They established dwellings, graves, shell mounds, and other features. At the height of their prosperity, their activities extended even to the northern Kuril Islands. The Sanpongi site, an archaeological remnant of the Okhotsk culture at the mouth of the Shibetsu River, dates back to the early years after the arrival of people of the Okhotsk culture to the coastal area of the Nemuro Strait. The site is distinguished by the remains of pentagonal and hexagonal pit dwellings. In the 8th century, people of the Okhotsk culture started using pottery with a unique decorative pattern of clay cord applique. The Okhotsk people expanded their area of activity along the Okhotsk coastline. As they reached eastern Hokkaido and the coast of the Nemuro Strait, they encountered people of the Satsumon culture who had inherited a local culture dating back to the Jomon period, a culture that had adeptly integrated salmon into their daily lives. The Satsumon culture was distinguished by its uniquely patterned pottery. People lived in dwellings equipped with stoves, secured food through agriculture and salmon fishing in rivers, and actively engaged in trade with Honshu. As the Okhotsk people interacted with the Satsumon people from around the 9th century, they adopted a lifestyle that incorporated salmon, while continuing to leverage their established expertise in sea hunting. It is believed that, through this integration, they gradually settled along the Nemuro Strait coast. The Okhotsk culture underwent significant changes following its encounter with the Satsumon culture, culminating in the formation of the Tobinitai culture, characterized by Tobinitai pottery. The Tobinitai culture, whose remains are found in locations including Shibetsu, Laosu, and Kunashiri Island, eventually made its way to the inland areas of eastern Hokkaido. At the Shibetsu sites, the remains of settlements from the Tobinitai culture period feature pit dwellings that exhibit characteristics of both the Satsumon and Okhotsk cultures. The pit dwellings have yielded locally distinct vessels referred to as Tobinitai pottery, which exhibit combined features of both Satsumon and Okhotsk pottery. The Tobinitai people appear to have led a lifestyle that skillfully blended two ancient practices, adapting each to the changing seasons. One was sea hunting, a tradition that dates back to the Okhotsk culture period. The other was salmon fishing in rivers, a practice that had continued along the coastal areas of the Nemuro Strait since the Jomon period. In the 13th century, Hokkaido's long-standing culture of pottery making and living in pit dwellings came to an end. This period saw the formation of the Proto-Ainu culture, which would later evolve into the Ainu culture we know today. Without a written language, the Ainu did not leave behind historical records. Consequently, how the Ainu culture emerged has remained a mystery for a long time. However, through archaeological excavations and research, the origins of this culture and its connections to the Okhotsk and Tobinitai cultures are gradually being uncovered. Let's explore these connections. The Otafuku rock cave site in Raosu town was used from the Epi-Jomon period through the Okhotsk to the Proto-Ainu culture periods. In the stratum, dating from the Tobinitai culture period at this site, a bone mound was discovered where the skulls of adult bears had been laid out. Curiously, while the skulls of female bears were found here, those of cubs, which we would expect to have been with their mothers, were not. In the Ainu world, bear cubs were raised in villages for 1 to 2 years, after which their lives were sacrificed during a ritual bear spirit sending ceremony called the Iomante. This ceremony was held to send the spirits of the bears back to the realm of the deities. Like the Ainu, the people of the Tobinitai culture might have brought back only the cubs to their villages to hold bear festivals. No such example has definitively been found in the archaeological sites of the Satsumon culture. It is thus thought that bear worship, originating in the Okhotsk culture, evolved into the practice of sending the spirits of bear cubs during the Tobinitai culture period. This evolution potentially paved the way for the Ainu Iomante ceremony. It is likely that the descendants of the Okhotsk and Tobinitai peoples, who primarily resided along the Nemuro Strait coastline, spread this practice across Hokkaido during the Proto-Ainu culture period. This practice eventually became an integral part of Ainu culture. Among the everyday tools of the Ainu is the kite, a hunting tool used to catch stellar sea lions and seals. The kite rotates 90 degrees once it sticks in the prey, making it impossible to pull out. The mechanism is known to be similar to that of the toggling harpoon heads used in the Okhotsk culture. In this way, there are a number of elements of Ainu culture that are thought to have been passed down from the Okhotsk culture through the Tobinitai culture. It is considered that the descendants of the Okhotsk and Tobinitai peoples, who primarily resided along the Nemuro Strait coastline, played a pivotal role in spreading these cultural elements across Hokkaido during the Proto-Ainu culture period. These elements are thought to have eventually become key aspects of Ainu culture. Beginning in the 17th century, a group known as the Menashi Ainu established numerous large settlements along the Nemuro Strait coastline. Renowned for their advanced navigation skills, they actively engaged in extensive trade by leveraging the rich resources of the region. Near the settlements, there remain ruins called chashi, an Ainu term meaning fortress. They were sacred places for the Ainu. In other parts of Hokkaido, chashi were often built near rivers, but along the Nemuro Strait, many chashi ruins remain along the coast. In this way, the Shibetsu sites are essential to understanding how the Okhotsk and Tobinitai cultures connect to the Ainu culture. The presence of chashi ruins along the Nemuro Strait coast reveals that the lifestyle of the Menashi Ainu was deeply intertwined with the sea, much like that of the people of the Okhotsk and Tobinitai cultures. For 10,000 years, the Shibetsu area was continuously inhabited, witnessing the development of various cultures that have left behind a substantial collection of archaeological remains. At the Shibetsu sites, numerous pit-dwelling remains that have not been entirely buried underground can still be observed up close. Such archaeological sites are exceptionally rare and are globally valuable. Diverse cultures and human endeavors throughout history were sustained by the rich blessings of nature in the region, including salmon. These have been passed down for 10,000 years and still continue to support the lives of people living along the Nemuro Strait coast. The Shibetsu sites serve as a vivid reminder of the enduring importance of nature. The Shibetsu sites still hold many hidden mysteries. How did people come to settle in this area? How did the various cultures emerge, develop, and change over time? How did the people of the Okhotsk and Tobinitai cultures interact and eventually form the Ainu culture in the later period? We are dedicated to continuing our pursuit of these mysteries, ensuring that the Shibetsu sites are passed down as a significant legacy for future generations.